What is going on, everybody? John Middlekauff, Go Low, a podcast. What a day to be alive. Woke up to the breaking news, which we will dive into off the top. I talked to Sobel earlier this morning, a couple hours after the news is broke. We will go into that as well. What a day. I mean, probably one of the more shocking, eye-opening, monumental, crazier days in the history of the professional game of golf. I think I've been texting with people from the NFL to my family friends. This is just a story that broke on CNBC. This did not break on ESPN. This did not break on the Golf Channel. This broke on CNBC with the head of the PIF, Yasser. Don't want to screw up his name. Especially you never know if I end up at one of his events, don't want to piss him off. And Jay Monahan, the CEO of the Future Golf LLC, who knows what it's going to be called. But we will dive into it all. Jason Sobel, we'll get some of your mailbag questions at GoLowPod. At GoLowPod is the Instagram. So fire in to the Instagram DMs. Sure, we will have some live questions that came throughout the day. But yeah, I don't know if anything else matters. Not last week at the Memorial feels irrelevant. Props to Victor Hovland. Incredible win. The Canadian Open definitely feels irrelevant. We got the U.S. Open in a week. Buckle up. It is easily, to me, the most anticipated major ever. And I'm not even counting the golf tournament Thursday through Sunday. What does Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on the grounds, the press conferences, Mickelson, Koepka, DJ, to Rory, to Rahm, to JT, to Spieth. It is going to be fucking fireworks. Buckle up. Can't wait. I love the majors. If LIV never would have came around, it doesn't get any. Those four events throughout the year and the NFL, to me, make my world. They keep me energized in life. And I can't be any more excited for Monday through Wednesday of that golf tournament. We'll also talk gambling, I'm sure, next week as well. I have a bet on Max Homa. Maybe I'll double back down on Koepka. Just LIV's on fire, even though I don't think LIV is going to exist, but we'll get into that here in a second. Download the Gametime app, official ticketing app of this podcast. Download the Gametime app. Do you want to go to this new golf league whenever we figure out who's playing where and when it's all going down? Here's what I need you to do. Go to your smartphone, download the Gametime app, fastest growing ticketing app in America. Type in the promo code GOLOW, GOLOW, and get $20 off your first pair of tickets. Games, concerts, comedy shows, any event. Just go to the Gametime app, search whatever you're looking for, sign up, first-time users, $20 off, promo code GOLOW. I'm recording this, so by the time you hear this, I'm sure Rory's going to talk on Wednesday. Maybe Tiger will release a statement. It's going to be a very, very fluid situation for the foreseeable future. So I can just go off at 4:00 in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time, the information that I have. So if I say things that are either outdated by the time you hear this or, maybe aren't as important, there's nothing I can do. This is just, it is what it is. So I'm going to give my thoughts. I've kind of broken it down on the major elements of this story. I want to start with Jay Monahan because when it comes to the show Succession, I enjoy the show, but I don't have the same love for the show that a lot of people like in the media do, that feel like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Again, entertains me, love the business element, love the characters, but for me, it's not a top 5 show of all time. Really liked it, watched all the episodes, but think it's a little overhyped, but do enjoy several elements of the show. I think that Jay Monahan had a little Logan Roy moment. And what I mean by that is he essentially just made himself a made man. The players' meeting that just ended, I think, in Canada, from all reports, was very hostile. And people were calling for the guy's resignation. Well, Jay Monahan essentially just made a deal with the PIF, Saudi Arabia. Some in the media would call them the devil. And essentially, like the mob, Tony Soprano, my favorite show, is a made man. Now you can say, well, what if the top players turn on him? Where do they have to go? Saudi now essentially owns professional golf because anytime, and I talk about this with Sobel, you are the number one funder in a merger, in a partnership, in advertising, you yield a lot of control. Why? They need your money. And the Saudi Arabia government and this investment firm that they have has an unlimited amount of cash. It never ends. They can buy whatever they want, whenever they want. And Jay Monahan, I don't know what spurred this. I think he was quoted of saying this was a 7-week process. But here's what he did. He insulated himself. Because now the Saudi Arabian government and PIF and Yasser and SBF, I always get him screwed up. It's not SBF. That is the crypto guy. But that's Sam Bankman-Fried. Have this piece of the professional game because of Jay Monahan. Without him doing this behind the scenes, this would not have happened. Clearly, if you polled the players from Spieth to Rory to Rahm to Tiger, they would not have done this deal. Or they were by no means willing or inclined to do a deal with the Saudis and merge. When I say live, but really just merge with them, live is going to die because now it's under one umbrella. There is no point to have live after 2023. It's going to be over, and they're all going to play with each other, which we will get to in a little bit. But Jay Monahan is the guy that did that deal. And anytime you are the guy that does the deal with the person that had no entrance in to the business, right, beside creating their own league, which was entertaining from a social media standpoint, but no one was watching. They couldn't get on television. They had no access to courses. He's your guy. And you can tweet out, or players can say, we want him to resign. Where are you going to go? There's no other league now. There is no place for you to go. There is one professional golf umbrella, and the Saudis and Jay control it. So what Jay Monahan essentially did is go Logan Roy, go cutthroat businessman behind the scenes, a little like also Tom in Succession, and just worry about himself first and foremost. And he's taken care of. Now, eventually, if he's forced out the golden parachute, he's taken care of. He was selfish in this situation. Now, is it going to benefit golf big picture? We can dive into that here in a little bit. But when it comes to Jay Monahan, that is one of the most cutthroat dudes you will ever see. And say this about Jay. And listen, I've been critical of him over the years. It feels like he is much more reactive than proactive. But you go back to 2020 when the media wanted every sport to shut down forever. He and Dana White were the first two guys to keep it rocking and rolling. The SEC followed suit. Everyone followed. But PGA Tour and UFC said, we're playing. And it was frowned upon, by 99% of the media and a lot of people in society. And from that moment up until this moment, say one thing for Jay, the dude has some stones and just took care of himself. Now, when it comes to the Saudis, I think this is a good life lesson. One of my favorite shows, I like Billions more than I ever did Succession, is in that show, there was a great, great line that I will remember till the day I die. What is the point of having fuck you money if you never say fuck you? And the Saudis now, whether it's F1, whether it's European soccer to golf, are just slowly, and some might say not slowly, taking over everything. One thought I've had today is, when do they get involved in the National Football League? When do they get involved in the National Basketball Association? Because that kind of feels inevitable. Because they can write checks that no one else can write. They are also willing to write checks that no one else is willing to write, even if they could sniff those level of funds. And they know what they're doing, clearly, because they started LIV Golf not because they thought it was some genius idea. Honestly, they stole a lot of the ideas from other people over the years. And they funded and they bought some of the top players with, it's pretty clear, the idea and the view of getting involved with the PGA Tour, because without getting involved with the PGA Tour, they have no access to network television, to the top golf courses. Unlike football and unlike soccer and unlike basketball, you can build a stadium wherever. You can build a basketball arena wherever you want. In golf, there are only so many elite golf courses. There are not 10 Pebble Beaches. There are not 10 TPC Sawgrasses or Oakmont or Wingfoot or LACC. There is a small number of elite country clubs and public golf courses that high-end professional golfers play at and that works on television. And they had access to none of it. None of the top country clubs in America. Next week, you'll see LACC. It's easily the coolest course I've ever played. They would never have been able to get involved with that course, just like they couldn't with Pebble Beach, just like they couldn't with TPC Scottsdale, just like they couldn't with Oakmont or Wingfoot or Oak or Southern Hills or you name it. All the top courses throughout America, they had no ability to ever play events on. So I don't care how much money you have. If you can't get on the good golf courses, what's the point of having this high-end golf league? So they were always going to be limited. I always thought like going on the CW, I didn't understand it. Just stay on YouTube. Ultimately, do you know what's clear? They didn't give a shit about any of that. The Four Aces, the team events, CW. It was about doing everything humanly possible to take over golf. And they found their mark. And it turned out to be Jay Monahan. And he was willing to play ball. And we'll see what happens to Greg Norman. Yasser said this morning on the CNBC interview when he was sitting there shoulder to shoulder with Jay Monahan that Greg Norman found out when he called him this morning. And a lot of reports have Rory, Tiger, all these guys had no clue. And let's face it, the big winner today, and I don't give a shit what the media says, they're being disingenuous if they say this. Phil Mickelson looks like a genius. He was one of the lead voices. He has created, here's the thing. With the Saudis involved, because his pushback was always, where is the money? I want to create more money. We're generating more money. This doesn't add up. I'll never forget, a tour player told me a long time ago that Phil was furious when Fox bought the U.S. Open and they were putting like $90 to $100 million into the tournament. And the purse went from like 10 million to like 11.5. He's like, where's the revenue? None of it ever added up. Now, there were complications because it was, a 501c, which is a nonprofit. Now they're going to turn into an LLC. That they are clearly going to put these guys on salary. We'll get into that here in a second. But Phil Mickelson was leading the charge for this. Now, whether he went about it the right way, whether he pissed some people off, regardless what you think about him, I've always enjoyed Phil. I find him very entertaining. I also thought it was kind of sad the last couple years when he wasn't going to the majors. He didn't say a peep in the Masters Champions Dinner. I like the version where everyone plays together and we got some villains, we got some stars, we got some good guys, we got some bad guys. This is a TV product. I want to be entertained. And I'm glad Phil led us to where we're headed. Because one thing is where we're headed. These purses, these players are going to play when they all play together, because that is what is going to happen. In 2024, Saudi is not investing billions of dollars to have Cam Smith and Kevin Na playing Chase Koepka over here on a course no one cares about, and Spieth and Rory and Rahm playing over here with Phil, and it doesn't make any sense. You would all play together. Well, not necessarily Chase Koepka, but his brother Brooks. They're all going to play together for tons of cash. And I'm excited for that. Now, how we got there, is it right or wrong? I listened to Coward go on a rant about LIV. I'm with him. I never try to be disingenuous about being on a moral high horse because I don't have a moral high horse. Now, I have morals and values and things I believe in, but I'm a businessman. And I've said over and over, if the Saudis would have came to me, who knows what I would have said? Would I have just gone to them for like $1 million? Probably not. But if they would have said, hey, you want to go for $10 million a year to podcast about LIV Golf? I probably would have been podcasting about LIV Golf for the last couple of years. And the media loves, stop the whataboutism. Well, the whataboutism, when it comes to this, and everyone is in bed with these guys, from our government to all these leagues, feels a little disingenuous picking on golfers. like they had anything to do with any of the stuff you're talking about. And I'm just glad, though the conversation is not over, because there are going to be some media people that beat this to a drum. But like, it shows you that money talks and shit walks. I always say this about every element of society. Everything is such fluff beside the money. The money in every walk of life dictates it all. All of it. All of it. It's not even arguable. Now, should it be that way? Is it the best thing that it is that way? Obviously, there are things that you would like to not revolve around money, but they simply do. They always have, and I'm sorry, they probably always will. Now, when it comes to the PGA Tour players, one thing I've seen is a lot of guys should be pissed off that were offered a lot of money that turned it down. Now, I think when you talk about the super high-end players, right? Tiger was offered hundreds of millions of dollars. Same with Rory, same with Rahm, same with Hideki. These guys were already stupid rich. And when you have a lot of money, turning down a lot of money, if it's not something you want to do, isn't that crazy? Now, looking back, if Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka, they're all just together next year at the same tournament, should you have just taken the money and all ended up in the same destination anyway? Yeah, you could make that argument. But maybe Jon Rahm would say, I didn't want to play those stupid-ass tournaments. I'm already worth a shitload. I'm making a ton over here, or Scottie Scheffler, or whoever. Now, if you made the argument that some of the mid-tier guys, a Sam Burns, a Xander Schauffele, a guy like that turning down that level of wealth, I get them being mad. But to me, I would imagine Rory or Jon Rahm or even Hideki or Tiger are glad they just stuck it out, right? And here's the other thing. They are going to create, and they said it today on the CNBC interview, it's going to be very fascinating what this tour is called. Maybe they just call it PGA Tour LLC. These guys are going to be put on salary. So the high-end guys on the tour, Rory, Jon Rahm, Scottie Scheffler, they're going to be paid like they're Patrick Mahomes or Steph Curry. They're going to make, I would guess, 30 to 45 million. They're just on salary with the PIF's money. And then depending on who you are, maybe you're a $5 million a year player. If you're Victor Hovland, kind of an up-and-coming young guy, maybe you're a $20 million player, right? I don't really know how you compensate Tiger, but Koepka, Cam Smith, these guys are very, very valuable, right? Very, very valuable. You could argue DJ at this point in time, what's he worth? Well, if it was football, people would still pay him, or basketball or baseball. They're going to all be on salary. And the amount of money that's going to flow to golf through the PIF, I saw him say today, like, are you prepared to invest billions of dollars? And Yasser responded, yes. The commitment is never ending. Now, sports washing, I hear that term a lot. We know what it is. Like, all you have to do is Google what China is doing, what Saudi Arabia is doing. Like, you could figure out that information. This is not 1960. All the information on these places are readily available. We have this thing called the fucking internet. So when I hear the term sports washing, that to me defines like we don't know what's going on. Every human with a working brain and a laptop has a decent idea what the hell is going on. If you have a Twitter account, if you have ever typed in any of this stuff, if you subscribe to a newspaper, read the Wall Street Journal, we got an idea that shady shit goes on in some of these places. It doesn't stop anyone in any of these major corporations from dealing with any of them. Because back to what I said, money talks, shit walks. And now all these players, while mad, are all going to directly benefit. They were already super rich, especially the top end guys, non-live. They are going to become dramatically richer. That's just a fact. So the players can be mad at Jay all they want. I don't think there's anything they can do. It's like they're going to force him to resign. How? By not playing and doing what? And boycotting to play where? Where are they going to go? And last but not least, I think Brandel Chamblee is one of the best in the business in terms of all of sports as an analyst of the game of golf. He is as good as anyone that analyzes basketball or football or baseball. I think he's elite at his job. I don't read Eamon Lynch, but I think both those guys are good examples of just going nonstop. Their position has not changed. In fairness, a lot of people, Jay Monahan's position was theirs. These are bad people. They're murderous dictators. You working for them, you're a scumbag loser, right? And they even kept doubling down today. I think when you talk to the average golf fan, they don't really care about that. They really don't. Do you know what they want to see? Like, can I see Brooks Koepka play Rory in other tournaments just beside the 4 majors? Can I see Cam Smith show up at the Players' Championship and defend his title? Can I see Bryson DeChambeau go to the Arnold Palmer? I kind of miss those guys, because a good sports league, and this is one thing basketball has really lacked. When I was a kid, teams hated each other. Players hated other players. Now everyone's best friends. Everyone's super rich and they're best friends. And once all the LIV guys, which had some interesting characters, a lot of quote unquote villains, leave, everyone was kind of friends on the PGA Tour. Bunch of good guys, everyone got along. You need people to like and you need people to hate. A lot of people like Middlekauff, you're a Laker hater. Fuck yeah, I am. And that's what makes sports go around. If you meet a Cowboy fan, you know who they hate? The Giants and the Eagles. If you meet a 49er fan, you know who they don't like? Sean McVay and the Rams. Who do the Bears fans not like? Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, right? That's how sports are built. Heroes and villains. Your team against the teams you don't like. And golf immediately lacked that. And you could feel it non-majors in the events. I've watched and gambled on most of the PGA Tour events this season. I've lost a lot of money. But it was lacking. It just was. The players didn't quite feel right. Even last week at the Memorial, lacked a little juice. And I think bringing everyone back together is great. And do you know who matters the most in these businesses, especially the sports business? Is the fan, is the consumer. They literally pay for everything. Not now, because the PIF has helped funding that. But before, television ratings. Without us watching it, it doesn't exist. And I think sometimes the media gets this false sense because media members hang out with other media members. And they can kind of live in a bubble. When media members go to events, they don't pay like you do. Like I do now. I haven't paid to go, or I haven't gone as a media member to a game in years. But when I did, looking back, I kind of fell out of touch with the fan. And the fan in my business literally provides everything. And without them, there is none of this. It doesn't exist. If people were not willing to attend basketball games and watch basketball games, do you know what the NBA would be? Just a bunch of guys that are really good at basketball playing for nothing because there would be no money. And I think the media has missed the mark on this lately. Is like, this is not about murderous dictators. It's ultimately about getting everyone to play together. And you can say, oh, it's sports washing. Yeah, we know what they do. We have the information. This is about the healthiest thing for the game. And that is, regardless how you get there, everyone playing against everybody. The official golf world rankings don't mean a fucking thing. Not when Brooks Koepka and Cam Smith are not around. Hell, even guys like Taylor Gooch, Denny McCarthy, who almost won the Memorial, couldn't hold Taylor Gooch's jock. Or his sand wedge. Probably be more apropos for golf. So I think a lot of people with the media, they're very predictable, and we know their takes are going to be on this. And I hope once Saudi makes this investment, like, they're going to own the Golf Channel. Maybe not directly on a piece of paper, but they're going to influence everything. And I think Brandel Chamblee, who, again, it would make me mad if I turn on the Golf Channel on major championships, on big events, and he's not around. And he's not going to pivot now. He did not pivot today. But I would say his job's in major, major jeopardy because they're going to come for him. And I don't mean like actually what they do in Saudi Arabia, because you're not allowed to do that in America. Only politicians can kill people and get away with it in America. But the Saudis will fire him. And Eamon Lynch and those guys, they will no longer be allowed on the Golf Channel. They control it. And when the dust settles, it's going to suck for me. I'm a junkie, but most fans won't care. What they really will want is, like, can Cam Smith and Brooks Koepka be playing, and DJ, against Rory and Rahm and Scotty Scheffler at the Waste Management next year? So when we're cheering on hole 16, drinking a bunch of Tito's and sodas and getting smashed, can like Brooks roll through with Bryson and Rory? I miss those guys. I miss them at the tournament. And I think, listen, it's been weird. It's crazy how we got here, but we're here now. In 2024, I predict LIV's not going to exist. It's all going to be one sport together. Those guys playing the PGA guys under one umbrella.